Well, hello, this is Brian DiNapoli, host of the podcast called NIL Mindset. So today I have an excellent guest. She's very passionate about NIL, and I'm going to talk to her. Her name's Jamira Mitchell, and we're going to talk about branding and name, image, and likeness. So very excited. How are you, Jamira?
I'm good. How are you, Brian?
Good, good, doing well. I could also call you Dr. J. I know you have a PhD. You're much
Yes.
smarter than me, but I wanted to talk to you. We're in this NIL ecosystem, and you're just so passionate about this, and I am too, but you're just really on fire for it. So I was really excited to talk to you and meet you. So wanted to dive in. Can you tell us about yourself, where you're from, and what you're doing now, and your full-time job?
Sure. My name is Dr. Jamira Mitchell. I am from a small town called Baldwin, Louisiana. It's about, I guess, an hour and a half away from New Orleans, and actually another hour and a half away from Baton Rouge, which is our capital city of Louisiana. And yes, I am into the whole NIL space. I have a company called the NIL Spot, and it actually started off as a podcast, and it is growing out. We are currently working with a community college. We are currently working with D1 athletes, and it's mostly about the education aspect of it. I think so many people think of NIL and think of the deals and how money can be made, but you also have to understand the why and the education behind it. So we support student athletes with learning to understand the basic jargon. So those vocabulary words that you may hear, the return on investment if a company is asking you about that, or the personal branding, and even the business branding, because now are really business owners. So we support them in those in those places, and we also support them in the aspect of helping them with life after NIL deals, life after college. So, uh, getting ready for those life skills, those on the job skills, and internships and apprenticeships.
That's amazing, Jamira. I know there's a lot of bad actors in this space, but you're in this for the right reasons. When I met you on a Zoom meeting, I think a couple years ago,
Yes.
I knew immediately that you really had a passion for helping these athletes. And like you said, too, success beyond the game day. Was there a particular moment that you wanted to create this? I know you've been around for a minute. So a
Yes.
particular moment or athlete or
Yes,
both?
actually, thinking about my 9 to 5. So, I am a career and technical education teacher. So, I get to have all of the fun classes. So, in my class, I actually have a social media class. And I think at the time, I was doing a lot of branding. And this was before student athletes were allowed to monetize off their name, image, and likeness. I teach high school. And I was telling my students, and especially the student athletes, about how important it is to establish a personal brand and how important it is to sustain that personal brand. And during that time, they were like, at that time, I was Miss Mitchell. So, Miss Mitchell, don't worry about it. We're not concerned about a brand. Coach said he's going to take care of it and we're going to be good. And it's like, well, I understand coach is there, and coach is there to support you on the field. But coach also has to make sure that his family is being taken care of financially as well. So they are going to support you as much as they can, but you also have to put the work in. And I think that was my aha moment, which made me go back in and research a little bit more. And that's how I actually got a PhD. My PhD is in education with a concentration in sports business management. And my dissertation was based on the lived experiences of high school counselors and the academic support that they provide to high school, well, African American male high school student athletes, only to find out that there really isn't much that the counselor can do. It can only counsel the student athlete as a whole student. So they're not looking at the aspect that they're African American. They're not looking at the aspect of that they are a student athlete. And they're definitely not looking at the aspect of, that they want to go and become a Division 1 player. They're looking at the aspect of, you're here for 4 years and we have to get you out in 4 years. So I continue to, tell them, I'm here. I have at that time I have a master's in this. I know what I'm doing. I'm here to support you. But because they have found that father figure many of the time, in coach, that they're not ready to have that conversation, that coach is really here to have a winning season, and once that season is over, let's prepare for the next season.
Yeah, that's great. You're such a great connector, Jamira. I can see you really working well with the athletes or a parent, mom or dad or uncle. But also that you something you said about coaches, I think that's sort of the missing piece in all this. You don't really hear about much education for the coaches. So
Yes.
I really love that. So did you play sports, and is that why do you feel so connected with athletes?
Actually, I have never played sports. So, in my current job, I work for a virtual school now, and I'm just actually traveling back in. And today we had field day, and I was bouncing the ball around. I was like, "What am I doing? I don't even know how to bounce a ball around." But I was teaching them. I was like, "Okay, this is a chest pass and a bounce pass and an overhead pass." So I've never been an athlete, but I've always been around the athletic world. So my dad was a former, um, I think, oh yeah, a sports editor for our local newspaper, and and he was also a teacher. So we've always been on the same schedule. So he would come and pick me up from school, and we would go to the local high schools and middle schools, and see what games that they had going on. So I became a student of the game from the statistics aspect, and I learned, all of the stats. I learned for baseball, for football, for basketball. It even got to the point where I was able to take some of my dad's calls. Like if my dad had stepped out and a coach calls, I was like, "Okay, coach, what, give me your stats," and asking all the questions. And like, I just enjoyed it. And then, sprinkling in the education aspect of it, I think that's what like really got me into it. And also, I moved to New York for 3 years. So I was in the sports mecca, and I got my master's in sports business management. So being able to get into that aspect, I think that's what really drew me. But also knowing that you have to find out where this mindset of coach is going to take care of me. And that's what led me into becoming a high school teacher, because I wanted to see where that mindset came from. It's easy to say that, the student isn't doing this or the student isn't doing that. But until we understand the connection and the trust that the families have with their coaches, it's going to be all in vain.
No, you brought up some great points. I think that's why a lot of these coaches, I'm a huge Georgia Bulldog, and our coach Kirby Smart just connects so well with the players. They're going to run through a wall for them. But I could see you also as a coach, Jamira. Have you ever thought about that?
No, I haven't thought about it. I think I'm just like, I'm too passionate. So I'm not that coach. I would probably need two or three other coaches behind me to pull me back every time.
Well, that's funny you say that because Kirby has a guy that pulls his pants.
Yes,
That's his job. He holds them back. And I wanted to ask you too, are you an LSU fan?
I am. I'm trying to be a Louisiana fan, but it's hard. It's hard. Our Saints are looking bad. Our Pelicans are looking bad. LSU is just all over the place. Yes, but I'm trying. I'm definitely trying.
Yeah, that's right. But that could be a whole nother podcast with Coach, with Kelly getting fired and the governor getting involved and all that. So
Yeah,
I know Louisiana, it's
I think
next
our governor
level.
has enough to be concerned about. Let's let the professionals take care of their business.
No, I
But
completely
of course,
agree.
he did have to step in, because at the time was not a president of LSU. So they have just announced a president for LSU. So hopefully he'll be able to go back into just being a spectator of the game.
No, that's right. But college football is definitely better when LSU is really good. I mean, the fans there are second to none. I've been to Tiger Stadium once, and it really is. Yeah, Tiger Stadium at night, there's nothing like it.
It's a whole nother world.
It really is that passion. I just love that passion that they have. So, but yeah, of course, I'm a Falcon fan. We're not doing so great either, and I know the Saints aren't
Well,
that
you
good
got
either.
Raheem though. I think Raheem and his defensive mind is going to come back. I think he just needs to like really get it together. And then you got your new quarterback, so I
I
think
like him and I like Bijan. If you can keep them healthy, I really think they're going to be
yeah,
great.
yeah,
But
it gives
yeah,
him
I know
some protection.
you love football. That's what I was going to say. You could really coach football or be a part of a squad one day. But what do you think about today's athletes? What are some of those other challenges when it comes to building their personal brand?
I think it's the unknown. So because NIL came literally, in the words of Miley Cyrus, like a wrecking ball, it came overnight. NCAA just decided, okay, after the ruling, we're just gonna say NIL for all. But they never really thought it through. They thought, okay, it probably wouldn't happen, so we're not gonna do any. But when the ruling came back, and now you have to, it's like nobody was really prepared for this moment. They knew it was coming, but I don't think they really was prepared for it. And now I think that because so many people are now trying to jump into the space, they have no background in understanding the kids. They have no background in truly understanding the family dynamic. It's a lot of, I can help you. Let's find a way to get you millions of dollars, when that is an unrealistic goal, and it definitely should be an unrealistic expectation for families. When I was in grad school, I wrote a paper on how I thought students should get paid, and I thought it really should have been based on a stipend program where the kids are not in a position where when they're done after a game, they don't have any money to go and get a slice of pizza. So if you put that stipend in place, that's fine. Think of it as maybe a work study. That could work. But just say to a company, if you like this player and you see they have a lot of followers on social media, you can give them all this money. That's not fair and equitable for all.
No, yeah, you touch on some great points, and that's why I think there needs to be collective bargaining, similar to, of course, MLB, NFL, NBA,
Yes.
where the
And
student
even in W,
athletes,
which they're going through a lot of issues
yeah,
too with their
absolutely.
CBA.
No, that's right. So I think that's going to be part of it. But you're right, the genie's out of the bottle, and she's not going back in. And I think
Yeah,
with the transfer portal and NIL all coming around the same time, it was just sort of a recipe for disaster. But it's interesting.
yeah,
I was talking to a neighbor, and they said, "Wow, all this NIL stuff is crazy." I said, "But the product has never been better. The games have never been better. They're so exciting." Because the
they are.
playing field has been leveled. Georgia, we'd have our second string guy would be a late first round pick, like a defensive end. Now they're starting for Ole Miss, right? So
Yeah.
everyone,
And look at
anyone could beat
Vanderbilt.
anybody. Yeah,
Look at
I'm a,
Vanderbilt.
and even Georgia Tech, I'll give them a shout out.
Yeah.
That's my number one rival. But 5 years ago, if you would have said Tech and Vandy are going to be in the top 15,
Yeah, for
yeah,
academics, not
that's
athletic,
right,
and
of
definitely not
course.
football. More like basketball and baseball, but definitely not football.
No, no, that's right. But you're right, Jamira. Most of these athletes, you would know the numbers better than me, but I know more than 90%, they're making less than what, $1,500, a year on this.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not these upper echelon athletes, of course, like Arch and these guys, and then
right.
Flajay when she was at LSU and
Yeah,
Angel Reese, of course, but the majority really aren't making that kind of money. So I think there's a misconception that the public has that, everyone's making multi-million dollar deals.
Yes, and then there's also a misconception amongst the student athletes. They feel that they have to have this huge following in order to get the big crowds, but it's really about storytelling. So your brand is your story. What do you want people to be left with, the aha of you after you're done? So I think that's the issue too, that we have to when we go back to personal branding, it is about what is the story you want to tell, what is something about you that you want to be known? When we think about name, image, and likeness, the name is something that you're giving, the image is something you portray, and the likeness is something that you want to be left with. You want people to think of you as. So we have to break down that name, image, and likeness as well.
Yeah, those are some great points. It really is. It's success beyond the game day. There was an athlete at University of Florida, gymnast. That's again the dog's rival. But I had reached out to her. I really like what she was doing. Her name's Leah Clapper. She was a gymnast, and she had a website just helping fellow student athletes navigate this whole space.
Hmm.
And she did pretty well, but she graduated, and I read somewhere there was an article about her that she found a really good job in investment banking or somewhere like that. So yeah, it's amazing, but she learned to be an entrepreneur, while monetizing her NIL at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So there's just so many stories, like that. And then just NIL for good. I use that hashtag a lot. A lot of student athletes are doing great things. I think it was a
Yeah.
Rutgers soccer team, recently did fundraiser for families in need. And I know a UGA, a backup lineman, his sister was ill, and he was able to pay her hospital bills.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
So there's so many great stories like that. What makes
There
it
are. And that's
Yeah.
what NIL should have been about from the beginning. And I think it really has good potential, and it still has good potential. We as the matter expert, as the I guess we can say as the fans, we need to push more into it. Now that there's sports betting going on and everybody's so concerned about a parlay, but we're not concerned about the student aspect. We know they're an athlete, but who is the child? What is the student going through? Just because he or she had a bad game, you don't know what led to that bad game. So we also have to understand how to control our passion for the sport.
Yeah, I love that. There's a group called Helinski's Hope, and I have a website, the NIL Insight, where I provide resources on mental health, drug and
Exactly.
alcohol prevention. In Helinski's Hope, in a nutshell, they lost their son to suicide. I think it was about 10 years ago. He played at Washington State, was a star quarterback, had everything going for him, but he was dealing with a lot of, off the field issues. And so they have a passion to help student athletes. They go around, there's a student athletes mental health week. They did it recently last October. So
Mhm.
I think there definitely needs to be more organizations like that. So do you do that as part of the NIL spot? Do you have any resources
So
around mental health?
we actually look towards you. So if we have a question, we definitely reach out to Brian regarding that, because it's really not something that we are into. We have resources that are available. We have access to a therapist and all of that, but that's not something we do. But we can, give the resource to those people that are really in the space.
No, that's amazing. And how does your website, the NIL spot, make it easier for athletes to connect with brands?
So what we are now, I think we're getting ready for like our second. It is called NIL Draft. And the purpose of NIL draft is to support those student athletes. So we look at the word draft in its original form of the pre-writing stage. So we help student athletes with their develop their brand, to develop understanding how to write an elevator pitch. And then at the end, we actually have a draft where our student athletes pitch themselves, and they actually are in front of possible brands where they make deals. So we look at the draft from both definitions.
Yeah, that's very cool. And I'm involved with a group called Toastmasters. I don't know if you've heard of them. It's a group
Yes.
to become a better public speaker. And
Uh-huh.
that's helped me immensely. I was that shy kid in the back of the class, terrified to ask a question, but that's helped me. I'm in more of an outreach position now. My full-time job, if it weren't for Toastmasters, I wouldn't be in this position that I'm in now. So that's just a suggestion to have your athletes, go through something like Toastmasters if they're not already. I think it's such a great organization. I always push it.
Mhm.
Warren Buffett said for student athlete or for any students graduating, he said if you can learn to be a better public speaker, that is probably the number one skill
It
you
is.
you can and learn. So we can all get better. We all have our own voice, but it's something I encourage everyone. Toastmasters.org. It's worldwide. You can find a group near you. And what about some for brands listening? What makes partnering with student athletes a powerful marketing move?
Okay.
A little bit of a
Oh,
delay there. Yeah. So
I'm
yeah,
sorry. They
what
said
what
my
makes
internet was unstable.
yeah, that's
Sorry.
okay. I'll repeat. Yeah, what makes partnering with student athletes a powerful marketing move?
Well, this is something else that we are working on with businesses, teaching them how to remove the marketing agency from their business plan. And that's pretty much what we do. We teach them how to use NIL and how to use student athletes and their visibility and their following to help them with getting notoriety within their business. So use NIL for good and then help the next generation while also helping your business.
Well, I agree. I think paying it forward, really, my dad always taught me the number one way to be successful is to help others become successful.
Yes.
And that's what like Livy Dunn is doing a lot, at LSU, right? Helping other athletes and Flage, using your school as an example, they're all doing great things. Angel Reese too. So they're all
Yes.
paying it forward for female athletes. I
And
mean,
what Angel
from
is doing on the next level at the W is remarkable as well and commendable.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, sure. I think she teamed up with Shaq to try to revitalize the
Rebrand
Reebok
Reebok.
brand.
Mhm,
I think
mhm, and
that'll
then she
happen.
also is revitalizing Victoria's Secret and Juicy Couture. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Wow. So, what about some athletes you've worked with? Can you talk about some examples of some athletes that you've already worked with?
Well, just finished working with a student athlete who was actually a cross country runner at a historically black college and university. And he went through our NIL draft and he was able to obtain an NIL deal with a local clothing company. So it's really not about the D1, it's not about D2. It's just about who you are and what you're passionate about and how you tell your story. So NIL is really easy. You just have to sit down and think. Think. You already have it in you. Just make it happen.
Yeah, I love that, and I think you're the best person to help them do that. I really do, and I know you have your own website. And where do you foresee within the next 5 years the NIL spot? Do you want to talk about how to contact you?
Sure, sure. So you can reach out to me on social media, on Instagram, NIL Spot Podcast. You can reach me also on LinkedIn, Doctor. Oh no, it's Jamira Mitchell, comma PhD, and you can also go to our website, the nilspotco.com. And I'm thinking over the next 5 years, we will have our own digital media platform just streaming all things NIL, of course, continuing to support NIL and also doing original content. So I'm really excited about that. Over the next couple months, we will be doing more original content. So I'm really excited about what we're doing.
I know, and this is more like a passion project for you. So, and I know it's going to continue to grow, and eventually it's going to turn into something full time, Jamira. I'm so excited for
I
you.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I really do. And I think we were on one of those calls, and the person, someone was on there like, wow, I think you just get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you digest this, and then you're doing it later throughout the day. So, but
I
you just really,
do.
you're just a person I've learned a lot from, Jamira. So I appreciate everything that you do. And just, I feel like we're part of a family, this ecosystem. We've been in this for a minute, and
We have
yeah, it's
since
just,
like
it,
21, 22.
that's right,
Wow.
since the very beginning. I guess we're the
Yes.
OGs. So
Yes.
this has been amazing. So please visit Jamira's website and all of her great advice today. It was fantastic. And student athletes, I hope you can reach out to her very soon. Please do. And you can find me at nilinsight.com, or Brian, Brian 3008 at icloud.com. And this is on YouTube, NIL Insight. It's on the YouTube channel. So please visit us there. And this has been great. Thank you again, Dr. J. And
You.
until next time, you take care, and thank you, everyone.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.